All right, welcome everyone. Today is May 13th, 2020. This is the City of Evanston Plan Commission hearing. Zoning ordinance directs this body to hear applications for map amendments, text amendments, plan developments, as well as to make recommendations regarding the city's long-term plans. The commission will make a recommendation which will be sent to the City Council. The first order of business is suspension of the rules. The rules require us to meet in person at City Hall, and so I will need a motion from one of the commissioners to conduct this meeting telephonically and by video. Do I hear a motion to suspend the rules to allow this meeting to continue?
So moved.
I believe that was
Johnson.
Sorry, this is all new to me. Commissioner Johnson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Hugo. All in favor? Aye.
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 All against? Aye. Hugo, Draper, Sloss, Johnson. I presume you were an aye as well.
Yes.
So either way, we have a majority. The suspension of the rules. We'll continue with the meeting. Next order of business is the approval of the meeting minutes for March 11th, 2020 and February 26th, 2020. Do any of the commissioners have any comments or revisions to those minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Sorry, I'm not hearing anyone.
Motion, I said motion to approve minutes.
Okay, do I have is there a second?
Second.
Just a suggestion. I think Chairman Isaac's audio is struggling a bit through the Zoom, and I'm wondering if it might be easier for the commission if Chairman Isaac were to dial in.
Seconding the motion.
If Chairman Isaac were to
Okay.
dial in
All in
telephonically
favor?
while maintaining his video.
Aye.
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 Peter, there was a suggestion you dial in because of your sound is echoing.
I'm about to yeah, give me one second. Let me okay. Let me try to do this. Yeah, I'm working on that right now. Give me 1 second. I will.
One of us can read you the dial in if you need it.
Okay.
Does that work better?
No, I've got working on it.
That work better now?
No.
Hello? Hold on.
keep talking. I think we can hear you. We just
Okay.
might have to have you muted on your other source, so there's not.
I did. I think we're good now. Everyone can hear me now?
Yep.
All right, great. This is better. Okay, so minutes are approved. Next order of business is old business. It's 19 PLND-0059 and 18 PLND-0112. These relate to 1619 Chicago and 1621 Chicago. It's the same applicant. This is a continuance from a meeting earlier this year. However, this afternoon we received a letter from David Meek, who is the attorney for the applicant, requesting a continuance until the next in-person meeting. Mr. Meek, if you'd like to just summarize your argument and your request, we can go from there.
Thank you, Chair Isaac. I'm the attorney for the applicant, Horizon Realty Group. I made the request for a continuance because of the conditions that exist in these virtual public meetings, which in this particular case are legally protected, constitutionally protected public hearings. And there is considerable concern amongst other zoning practitioners, other municipal attorneys, about some of the challenges, pitfalls, and legal liabilities that attach to conducting public hearings by teleconference, especially contested public hearings. I've actually participated in a couple of public hearings already that have had significant technological challenges, and I presented a number of bases for making the request that you continue us to the next in-person public meeting. Part of the issue, of course, is technological as it relates to our due process interests in being able to both make our presentation and also engage in examination and cross-examination, which are rights that we possess as the applicant and as well the public possesses to challenge what we're presenting, frankly. One of my other considerations, in addition to the due process issues, which I laid out in my memo, which I hope, although it was just delivered today, I hope it was circulated to all the commissioners, is that as an attorney, I'm compromised in my ability to consult with my client in the same kind of offline communication that would exist if I was in a public meeting where we were on the other side of the dais and we could converse amongst ourselves in responding to particular questions and formulating strategy, etc. This platform and our physical separation don't allow us to have that kind of immediate dialogue in private for discussion purposes to be able to respond. So I think there are fairness issues, legal issues, legal liability issues, professional responsibility issues for me, and I don't think that my applicant is harmed by the request, and I don't think the public is harmed by the request. The applicant owns the property. They're not under pressure under any purchase agreement to complete this process under any particular time frame, and the request is a reasonable one to continue to the next available in-person meeting, which may be June, it may be July. The other wrinkle to this, of course, is that you have a rule that you have to make a recommendation or a decision within 120 days of the first meeting, and you have a rule that allows you to extend that 120-day period by 30 days. I've outlined, and I'd like to add something, but I've outlined a recommendation that you consider a motion to temporarily suspend that rule to allow us to move to the next available in-person meeting. And I would say that I should have also cited Article 16, which allows that the rules may be temporarily waived suspended or adjusted by affirmative vote of 2/3 of the commission when conditions are present to meet the needs of the public hearing process. That's exactly what we have here. So that's my lengthy nutshell description of my request.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, this request, I consulted the City of Evanston Legal Department regarding this request and whether there was any objection or any issue from the legal department on this request, and there is none. So do any of the commissioners have any comments or questions or points they'd like to raise with respect to the applicant's request to continue their 2 items that were up today until the next in-person meeting? No, I'm not hearing any of the commissioners jumping in. I will say that there are lots of this application has been around for a while, but nevertheless there are many people in the many citizens here in Evanston that definitely have an opinion with respect to this project and have asked to be heard with respect to it. I'd say that that alone is probably a good reason to push this until the next in-person meeting, to give all of our citizens the opportunity to face the applicant, ask questions, make their comments directly to us. I think this is something that we should consider. The applicant, or I'm sorry, Mr. Meek was accurate in that our Article 13N requires us to make a decision within some total of 150 days. But again, we can suspend those rules to extend that. I think given the circumstances we find ourselves in with respect to this COVID-19, I think that flexibility is just what this situation is, what that flexibility is meant for. So is there a motion with respect to the applicant's request?
Chair Isaac, I do see that Commissioner Johnson has his hand raised.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yes, Commissioner Johnson.
Sorry, Chair Isaac. Basically, I concur with what you said. I support the idea to both suspend the 150-day decision article and to move this item to the next in-person meeting.
That sounds like a motion to me. Is there a second?
Second, Hugo.
As a point of order, if I may, this is Kelly Gandersky, Corporation Counsel. I think there has to be a motion first to suspend the rules, to extend the time frame, and then a motion to continue in with this motion so that it flows together.
I'm sorry, you'd like to see a motion to suspend the rules with respect to the 120 days and then a second motion with respect to the continuance to what? Yes. to the date certain, or to the date upon which we'll continue. Okay. So
yes, and then it has to be by a 2/3 of the quorum as well.
Understood. Okay. So Commissioner Johnson's motion, the second half of that is cut off. Commissioner Johnson,
yeah.
Would you still like to make your motion with respect to the suspension of rules?
Yes, I'll withdraw the previous motion, and the new motion is to suspend the rules in regards to the 150-day decision requirement.
Okay, and Hugo, do we still have a second from you?
Second.
Okay. You know, to make this flow a little better, I think everything we do from here on out should just be done by roll call, just so we have everyone's vote accounted for. So, Ms. Jones, would you please take roll call on this motion?
Sure. Commissioner Draper,
Yes.
Commissioner Halleck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hugo,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloss,
Yes.
and Chair Isaac.
Yes.
That passes
right.
unanimously.
All right, the motion passes. The next order of business would be continuing this matter until the next in-person meeting. And so this won't be a date certain, but the next in-person meeting, it'll be rescheduled and noticed out. So do I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion for continuance to the next in-person meeting.
Commissioner Sloss's motion. Do I hear a second?
To clarify, this is for both items 4A and 4B.
Commissioner Sloss? Okay.
Correct. Yes, for items 4A and 4B.
Is there a second?
Second, Hugo.
Hugo second. Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Draper,
Yes.
Commissioner Halleck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hugo,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloss,
Yes.
Chair Isaac.
Yes.
That
Okay.
motion passes.
All right.
Thank you for your consideration.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. So that takes care of items 4A and 4B. The next matter before us is new business. It's a text amendment. Case number 20 PLND-0024. The city initiated text amendments to the zoning ordinance with respect to the classification and administration of minor and major variations, and to Chapter 4 regarding residential care homes, transitional treatment facilities in the R4A General Residential Zoning District. Ms. Jones, are you presenting this, or is this Mr. Mangum?
That'll be Mr. Mangum.
Okay, I think I've got everything up. If you can see this, the text amendment here. So a little bit background. February 24th, the Planning Development Committee provided some feedback. The staff had suggestions about possible text amendments to existing zoning regulations to reduce process time for variation cases. The proposed amendments would not change any regulations themselves as far as variations. It would not change height limits, setback requirements, any kind of bulk requirements. However, it would reclassify some variations so that the review and decision-making process would be conducted by a different entity. Specifically, major variations relating to parking for single-family and two-family residential only would switch from requiring City Council approval as a major variation to being decided by the Zoning Board of Appeals. And then the following major variations that currently require Zoning Board of Appeals approval would now be decided by the zoning administrator as a minor variation. All accessory structures for single and two-family residential, all yard obstructions for single and two-family residential, yard obstructions being such as chimney encroachments, front porch encroachments, views of buildings, items such as that, and all upper floor setback variations above an existing lower floor for single and two-family residential. Those would be minor variations now. Minor variations still require public noticing for minor variations to a 250-foot radius, And then the decision of the zoning administrator can also be appealed to the Zoning Board of Appeals on those items. The proposed amendment is to make changes to section 6383. And so we're changing both within the variation section, all yard obstruction variation requests, again for single family and 2-family residential as minor variations. Changing all accessory structure variations, including multifamily and commercial, to minor variations. And then changing all setback variation requests for single family and 2-family for upper floors that align with the lower floor below as minor variations. Additionally, changes to section 6314, 6316, 6382, parking variation requests for single family and 2-family to be determined by the Zoning Board of Appeals instead of by the City Council. And then finally, another code cleanup. The R4A zoning district is a relatively newer district that was introduced. At the time it was introduced, it was an oversight that it was not included in the distancing requirements for residential care homes and transitional treatment facilities. So right now there's sections of the code that require that distancing requirement, 900 feet separation between those types of uses for all zoning districts where they are either permitted use or special use. So the R4A district currently does list those as uses within it. However, it was not listed in the distancing requirement. So that's a cleanup to the code there. As this is an amendment, when we get to it, the standards for amendments are shown on the screen before you. That includes a staff presentation available for questions. But just generally, the intent was to improve the process, to look at items that we generally see as being non-controversial items that are maybe taking up more time before a board or before the City Council, and then consequently spending more time and money from the applicant or homeowner, and to try to speed up those processes and streamline a little bit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mangum. Do commissioners have any questions of Mr. Mangum with respect to this issue at this time? Okay, hearing none. Are there any questions from members of the public? I don't believe anyone signed up for this item. Ms. Jones, if you can just confirm that what I'm saying is accurate. I don't believe I saw anything.
I think there may have been more of a question regarding this particular text amendment that was trying to clarify if this was related to changing zoning regulations for residential care homes. Mr. Mangum stated during the presentation that this is not intended to change any of those particular zoning requirements. It's just essentially a cleanup of listing zoning.
Okay. I'm looking at the participants in this Zoom call, and if there's any member of the public that has any questions at this point of Mr. Mangum with respect to this item, you can raise your hand or raise your hand in the app, or unmute yourself and say hello. All right. Well, hearing no questions from the public, we'll move to the comments. Are there any comments from the public with respect to this item? Okay, hearing none. That will close the public record with respect to this item. I have a question about about this. I think in the application, I'm sorry, in the packet, there was a list of how many times or how many times in the last 3 years someone has requested each of the types of variations that we're discussing. It doesn't look like there's that many. So to me, this doesn't seem like a workflow issue. It seems to me that it's more meant to help the homeowners and citizens to navigate this process a little more easily. Is that accurate? Because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of these that come up every year.
Yeah, in aggregate, we found that there, the combination of these amendments would be roughly a handful of items per year that would be changed either from the city council or the zoning board. So correct, it's a combination. I mean, it would help to some degree with the agendas for the zoning board and for city council, and allow those bodies to pay attention to items that are sometimes more controversial or more pressing, but also as a benefit to property owners, and again, with staff's experience of these items not being controversial items.
Do you have an idea of of the cases that you said, for parking for single and two family residential, one case in 2019, 2 in 18, 2 in 17, 3 in 16, like in the aggregate, were most of these approved? Like are these ultimately non-controversial issues that ultimately make their way through the process and get approved, or is it a mixed bag?
With regard to the specific categories, we'd have to look at that a little bit more. In general, they're non-controversial items. Some of them may be more so than others, but in generally, there are less controversial items.
Okay.
And again, would have a limited impact on the neighborhood as a whole.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other questions from the commission before we move on to the standards? All right. Let's look at the standards. All right. So let's see. Zoning ordinance map amendment. Is this first slide only with respect to and this isn't a map amendment, right? This is a text amendment.
Correct. Please excuse the error there. It's a text amendment.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. The standards are correct. The header is not.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right. The first standard: whether the proposed amendment is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive general plan as adopted and amended from time to time by the city. I don't see how this would not be satisfied, given we're still going to be reviewing these issues, yet we're going to be making it a streamlined process for people requesting these items. And again, commissioners, if you want to jump in and point something out, disagree with me or whatever, please feel free. Whether the proposed amendment is compatible with the overall character of existing development in the immediate vicinity of the subject property. This is not applicable. Whether the proposed amendment will have an adverse effect on the value of adjacent properties. I don't think there's any evidence of that or any implication here. The adequacy of public facilities and services, this would be not applicable as well. Is there a second slide for this, Mr. Mangum?
Those are all the standards.
That's it. We've done it. Okay, great. Commissioners, any comments with respect to this this item? Hearing none. Do I have a motion?
So move.
I'm sorry?
I would move to adopt the text amendments.
All right, Commissioner Huco, is you're recommending approval of the of 20 PLND-0024.
That is correct.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
We'll give that to Draper. Second, Draper. All right, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Ms. Jones, let's take a roll call since this is going to City Council.
Commissioner Draper,
Yes.
Commissioner Halleck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hugo,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloss,
Yes.
Chair Isaac.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
All right. Any other comments or concerns from the commission? I don't believe there's. Let's see. We still have a number of participants. Any comments from the public with respect to anything that hasn't been discussed here today? Hearing none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, Johnson.
Second.
Was that Sloss second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All against? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.